Well, there was great arguments that went on before we actually ended up here. Lord George Murray did not want to fight here. He was the general in charge of the Jacobite forces. But there was another commander, O'Sullivan, and he had the Prince's ear, and the Prince tended to listen to O'Sullivan more than he did Lord George Murray. O'Sullivan said that this was perfect, we could take them front on, and the Prince believed that that was a good cause as well, because the Prince thought there was nothing better than the Highland charge. Nobody could stand up to his men, the Highland charge. When the redcoats see it coming, they'll turn and flee. Lord George Murray couldn't believe that he was going to have his troops line up and charge across this suicide. So he came up with a little idea that the night before he would take a raiding party out and attack Cumberland and his men at Nairn, a night march. If it was successful, then this battle wouldn't have taken place. The game plan was to attack Cumberland's men as they sat drinking the wine and the brandy, because it was the Cumberland's birthday. It was the butcher's birthday, and he was handing wine out. He'd opened up lovely caskets of French wine, and his men were getting into the cups. And Lord George Murray knew this through his spies. So, if the Jacobites could attack them while they sat in their tents drinking, it'd be a rout, it'd be carnage. And then there'd be no need for this. But unfortunately for us, it never worked out. The weather that night was absolutely atrocious. Visibility was very poor. The leadership that night was pretty poor as well. And our raiding parties got lost. You can believe that. They got split up. By the time dawn came, they could hear the English. They could hear them talking. But they were just too disorganised to launch the attack. So they turned round and came back here. A lot of the men that were lining up here hadn't eaten for roughly about a week. They were starving. They'd just come on a forced march up from England, fought a couple of battles on the way. They were exhausted. Exhausted, hungry, depressed, lonely, missing their wives, missing their children. And here they were on this desolate moor, Jamesie moor. They knew it was over there. It's the best army in the world over there. They've got cannons, mortars, grape shot, the best muskets money can buy. They were eating and drinking last night. They've got bellies full of food. I've not eaten in a week. I'm tired. I want to sleep. I want to go home. I want to see my wife. What's going to happen? We lined our troops up here, and even that didn't go well. We started arguing. Old Kepak, MacDonald chief, well, he didn't want to fight on this side of the moor. He wanted to be over there. See, that was the ancient right of the MacDonalds. Away back in Bruce's day, that they were given the right of the line. Sullivan told him to line his clan up down here. Wasn't happy. Didn't want to fight until he got to stand over there. Wasn't going to happen. The Athol men were standing up there. Lord George Murray and his men. Prince Charlie and his little bodyguard were over there on horseback. Nice little tented area. Charles ate last night. He ate in Culloden house. Drank good wine, a few sherries, a nice dinner, a bit of venison. How many men were well fed? He gave the order to fire the cannons just before 1 o'clock. Our cannon wasn't well placed at all. Another mistake. Our cannon hardly worked. It was old, defunct. We fired them. They never even hit the English line. Once we fired, Cumberland gave the order for his cannon to fire. As I said over there, this was the good stuff. These guys knew how to fire these cannons. Boy, did we feel it. Deadly accurate. You're just seeing your friends that you've been with for how many years, grew up with them, lived in the same clacking as them, just disappearing. Still the order's not been given to charge. We know, we rely on this charge. Why are we not charging? Utter disarray on this line. Some men were still out there somewhere sleeping in the woods, knackered, didn't even line up. Some men had ran off trying to find something to eat. Utter disarray. Charles sent one of his young lackeys down to give the order to charge. He never made it, he was decapitated by cannonball. More delay. The Macintosh clan Chan, they got restless. Round about the middle of the line. Enough of this, let's have them. And they charged. Charged in what? In that? Knee deep in bog water. Your feet getting caught in the heather. As they charged, the right hand side of the line went with them. They were met by a wall of musket fire. Cut down. Grape shot. They kept running. The reports say that the Athol Highlanders, 9 men went down. One went down, the other one would pick the flag up and run. He'd go down, another one would pick the flag up, keep running. 9 men went down carrying that standard. The right hand side of the line smashed into the front lines of the Redcoats. Monroe's line and Barrow's regiments. Still this side of the line hadn't started their charge yet. They broke through the front line of the English, but the second line of the English soon put paid to that. And they found themselves surrounded, as you would have read in there. Now this side of the line charges. They never got far, because this whole side of the moor was serious bog, worse than that side. They just found themselves bogged down about halfway, no getting anywhere. But unfortunately they were in range for the muskets. And most of the men on this side, the MacDonalds of Glengarry, MacDonalds of Keppoch and the MacDonalds of Glencoe, all fell out there in the middle of the field. Keppock himself died out there. Read these men. They are Gael militia, fought with the government, and outflanked us as well. Another mistake. Let yourself be outflanked. They've come up the far side, along the nice road line, positioned themselves there, where they could break deadly fire on our sides. As our right side charged. When you look at the battlefield, as we know now, the whole field sits at an angle. It comes in like this. So what happened with the right side of the line charging? They all funnelled into the one area. And you've got military men here, I'm sure. Well, it just created this perfect killing zone for the redcoats. They could just shoot right in front of them, and then the Argyll militia shooting from the flanks. Absolute carnage. Hundreds of men died out on that side. Prince Charlie still thought he could win this. He sent in our next line, who would have been up here, the Royal Ecosse, Kilmarnock's the cavalry divisions. It was over by that point. The Royal Ecosse, very brave men, actually come onto the field and started covering the retreat of the Highlanders. And if it wasn't for the Ecosse, there would have been many, many more casualties out there. Once they'd covered the retreat, they headed back that way and covered Charlie's retreat. He fled over in that direction. Fled for his life. In utter shock at what he'd just witnessed. In under an hour, the Jacobean army had been completely routed, destroyed. Up to 3,000 men gone in under an hour. The Duke of Cumberland came onto the battlefield, and he hated Scotland, and he hated Scottish people, he hated the Highlander, he hated the Gael. He didn't want to be in this cursed, horrid country, as he would put it. He'd rather be back in France, fighting a worthy opponent. He gave the order to his men to kill everyone, all wounded. Let no one leave alive. That's exactly what happened. If you were found lying out on that field, you were bayoneted to death, you had your throat cut. No prisoners were taken. The gentleman back there was talking about taking prisoners. They did take prisoners. That's what, if you were caught out that way running about, they'd herd you up and took you away, and as he said, put you on the prison hulks. If you're really unlucky, you went to Carlisle, that hellhole. But if you were lying on that field there, with your ankles shattered, because the grape shot had got you, you didn't leave this field. You had your throat cut, your pockets rifled, your dignity taken from you, stripped, left naked, lying out on the moor. It didn't stop there. Once they'd slaughtered all the clansmen here, to say they harried them into the fields and into the hills, and wherever they could find them, they butchered them. They didn't just come up to your house, up to your croft, chap your door and ask you if you'd been here. Kicked the door in, shot you where you sat, shot you where you lay, raped your wife, raped your children, while you watched, took you outside, put you up against the wall, would shoot you, or just hang you from the tree, so that everyone else in the clacking can see what happens to people who disagree with the king. April the 16th, 1746. That was the end of the clans, the end of the Highland way of life. Where we're standing right now, this is where it all ended. Very sad day indeed. One will wander again.